This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Well, hello and welcome back to the Research Talks here from Stockbox with, of course, Alan Green, our research analyst. Alan, good to be speaking to you again today. The week when, of course, the clocks have gone back and here we are, the nights are drawing in, we're still at our computers working and we look outside and, oh, it's dark.
It's dark. It's been grey all week as well. We've just had
It's
this
grey as well. Miserable
this
week,
benign.
actually, generally, Alan.
Yeah, so although it hasn't, I think if it had been this grey and it had been raining too, then it would have been really depressing. But actually, it hasn't rained, so can't complain really. But yeah, it's just this really odd, very still conditions, very benign, very grey, and then of course it gets dark at about 5 o'clock. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's but there we go.
Well, that will continue, won't it? Well, obviously leading into Christmas. I will forgive you now for talking about Christmas. I know you like to talk about it quite early. I mean, we are now 1st of November, so, if you want to
Yeah.
start talking about Christmas, of course, that is that would be probably acceptable at this point. Maybe we will meet up as well on early December. I don't know if you're going to the Minds and Money /Resourcing Tomorrow event, which is sort of the first week or two in December. But that's something to look forward to.
Indeed, I shall be there, and I look forward to seeing you there, and hopefully other members of the other members of the Stockbox team as well. But it's always a good place to meet up, and I think in the middle of winter, it's nice to have a big social event like that where we can all get together and also meet our peers and clients, the companies we work with, and talk about what's going to come the following year, and of course, Christmas, I guess. Yeah, goodness.
Yeah, Christmas, yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to talk about three companies today. Of course, Rome Resources we're going to cover today, who are on track to get their resource statement out early in the new year. They're busy away doing their exploration over there for tin in the DRC. There's a special feature coming out from Stockbox. Well, it will be out already. So this is recorded on Friday, so it's coming out today. So if anyone hasn't seen that, that's a really good deep dive into everything about the project, about the tin market and the exploration work that they're doing. So Rome Resources we're going to start with first, then we'll move on to MetalNRG. Of course, that's having a bit of a change of management, change of direction, turning over of a new leaf, so to speak. And then we'll finish up with Guardian Metal Resources, who, of course, this week announced that they had, they've taken an option to acquire another tungsten project, a real bet on tungsten, a call option on tungsten, as Oliver Friesen told me on the interview this week. So Rome Resources, to start us off, Alan, give us the take.
Rome Resources. So of course, we were talking about Rome Resources early this year, coming to market. And of course, they reversed into what was on the cash shell Pathfinder Minerals, raised £4 million. Epicode, of course, on AIM RMR is now the Epicode. And this is a hugely experienced management team that have been operating in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC, for the last 25 years. The team were, and I quote from a research note from Oak Securities, the management discovery track record is unmatched by any other exploration junior, having been involved in 4 major discoveries, 3 of which became significant mines. And these, of course, included the Mpama North Tin Mine, the Kibali Gold Mine, the Kipoi Copper Mine, and the Manono Lithium and Tin Project. So the team behind Rome Resources, of course, includes Paul Barrett, who's the chief executive, Mark Gasson, who was formerly on the board of Pathfinder Minerals. But most recently, the company announced that Klaus Eckhoff, who, of course, I know you interviewed back in the middle of the year, Mark. Klaus Eckhoff came in as non-exec chairman to the group and brings a huge amount of experience, having been sort of involved, of course, with the world-class zinc and copper projects and the world-class Alpha Men tin project, which of course is adjacent to Rome Resources assets, which are the Bizy North tin projects. So I think what was particularly exciting about Rome, and really what saw the company really explode into life when it when the company relisted on AIM, was the fact that the assets were so far progressed. So the in July this year, the diamond drill rigs were already mobilized to the Calais prospect at Bisey North, and also a third rig was sent to the Mount Agoma project. Drilling commenced in August, and we then heard from the group. We started to see the results coming through in September. Significant tin mineralization was noted from this diamond drilling at the Calais prospect, and as we've seen now, we're seeing now this is very much the trend in mining to get an early handle on the sort of mineralization. A handheld PXRF machine is used to get some ideas on the sort of on the mineralization, the grading of mineralization, and certainly hole 5 from the Calais prospect defined a high grade zone, which was recorded over 1.5 meters at just over 3% tin. Hole KB 006 recorded 10 meters at 5.3% tin, and another area recording 8 meters at 0.5% tin. And Paul Barrett and the team concluded from these results that it was in effect confirmation that our license areas contain high grade tin mineralization. Then, of course, as I've already mentioned, Klaus Heckhoff was appointed chairman with the group. The company then announced further developments in October. The rig that had been mobilized to the Mount Agoma project followed that success. The initial successes was noted at the hole number 10, which intersected high-grade copper, zinc, silver, and tin, followed up by hole 16, which recorded 67 meters and tin, copper, and zinc mineralization noted between 47 meters down and 113 meters down. So that's a belt of about 60 to 70 meters, 60 to 70 meters deep. So of course the further drilling in the other holes is going to define the depth and the width and the length of that anomaly. Hole 17 noted a copper zone between 98 meters and 113 meters down. So the story here is one that the licenses were bought into Rome Resources, and immediately, rather than sort of waiting around for 6 months or a year, the team have cracked on with it, and within a few months of the rigs being on site, we already have solid recorded mineralization. And of course that has that's seen a pretty sort of buoyant performance from the share price, although of course shares have sort of drifted back in recent days. I mentioned the Oak Securities note. Oak Securities, the team there noted, of course, that Rome are building towards issuing a maiden resource estimate in early 2025 across the assets. Of course, the note was prepared by Dr. Ryan Long, who's a pretty prolific analyst in this area. We've got the report on the on management and what the team have already achieved here, and of course, really, it's now a case of sort of waiting for that mineral resource estimate to be prepped and published, and then I think Rome will take next steps and move on forward. But I think with Klaus Heckhoff coming in as chairman, we're going to see the pace that's already been demonstrated by the company continue. So I'm sure we're going to get some updates and some further confirmation from once the results come back from the lab, bearing out the initial readings from the PXRF gun recordings.
Yes, thank you, Alan. Good summary there. And of course, the copper credits as well being very, very nice from the drilling that they're finding so far. And I would encourage people to watch that special feature because it really does explain how typical tin deposits are, why the DRC is so prolific for them. And yes, you've got like those copper grades there. I mean, they're over 3%, you know.
Yeah.
That's actually rare to find these days. But you get into the copper first, and you go into the tin mineralization. So, yeah, I mean, I think Rome is really, really good. As you said before, the guys have done this before. They basically did it at Alpha Min, then sold it on, which then became Alpha Min. And they're back for round two, effectively. Proven track record. They know what they're doing. It's the same trend. It's the same extension of the deposit. So why can't they repeat what Alphamin have got, which are currently supplying 9% of the world's tin? I mean, nothing's a dead cert, but this is a pretty good one, I would say.
Well, of course, the Baisi North projects, as the Calais Prospect a moment ago, they're only 8 kilometers from Alpha Men. So, of course, the team are on the ground there. The team have worked on Alpha Men. The logistics are in place. The soil anomalies were already established before Rome came to market. So they've really fast-tracked this, and it's their stated aim to replicate the alphabet model. And certainly early indications are, with everything that's happening so far, that they've got every chance of developing an asset like Alpha Min with similar grades. And of course, that would be a massive coup for the team. Bear in mind that Rome Resources is still extremely sort of modest, has a very modest valuation. So I'm sure we're going to see a big surge in upside as we go forward.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you, Alan. Let's move on and talk about MetalNRG then, if we can.
Okay, MetalNRG. So, of course, this has been very much a resource investment company for the most part for the past 3 years, of course, under the stewardship of Rolf Gerritsen. And the company, of course, still owns a series of assets, and I'll touch on those assets shortly. But at the end of September, the company announced in its interims an update on the assets, and there have been some significant developments in that area. So I think we can expect to see some progress on the legacy assets, if you like, before the end of the year. But of course, this came out of the blue. The share price for MNRG started to move upwards from as we went into the summer. The shares were sort of pretty much trading at around the yellow, sort of 0.06 pence, and they've progressed as high as 0.78 of a pence. Currently trading at 0.46, but with the asset they now have within the company, I think this is a hugely exciting opportunity. The company's now got a market capitalization of just under 7 million sterling. On the 17th of October, the company announced it had acquired via what will ultimately be a reverse takeover, a company in Morocco, the Compagnie Minière de Oumidrani, or CMO, and it's acquired the company from Managem SA, which is a Casablanca Stock Exchange listed company. And the transaction will see 100% ownership of the Oumidrani copper mine in Morocco, which is located in the eastern anti-Atlas section of the country, into the company. Now, of course, the purchase price is $30 million. MNRG has some cash to bring to the table, but it was funded mainly through Orion Resource Partners, who loaned MNRG $25 million to complete the acquisition, and that came in the form of a convertible loan note. Now, as part of this process, MetalNRG will be changing its name to Atlas Metals Group. So, of course, it'll be renamed with the new EPIC code as well. Also, as part of the process, there are a series of board changes, and of course, these will all be approved by Orion Resources. Christopher Chadwick, who is already a non-exec director on the board, has stepped up to become chief executive, and I know you've interviewed Christopher already, Mark, in that regard. Vinesh Karia, a finance veteran, is coming in as chief finance officer, and veteran geologist Neil Gawthorpe is coming in as chief operating officer to oversee the operation. So So the acquisition, I guess for accounting purposes, is effective February 29th this year. So that's probably to do with the with accounting years and so on. The company or the company will pay $2 million on the first anniversary of the acquisition. Omidron itself generated $28 million in revenue last financial year. It employs 300 people and has been operating since 2014. So of course, with the price of copper going where it's going and the copper's importance in this new clean energy environment as we move forward, to secure a producing copper mine is a huge coup for the company and management. So it's it's a massive opportunity for the group. But it also includes a strategic partnership with Managem SA to explore other opportunities in the region. There are other opportunities to be explored because not only does the company have some exploitation licenses that come with the Omidron mine, there are also other opportunities in Morocco to get involved in, which will probably involve copper mines or similar. And of course, there's an opportunity to scale up the operation, both production wise and of course exploration wise too. But within the Umadrani area, there are 4 exploitation licenses. These cover 200 square kilometers. Already, they've identified structures some 10 kilometers in length, and initial drilling into those areas has identified copper mineralization at just under 300 meters down under the ground. But again, it's a transformational acquisition for Atlas Metals Group, as it'll now be called. There are still the legacy issues to consider as well. On the 30th of September, of course, the company provided an update in its interims. It sold its 11% stake in Ectech in Italy. That was of course, the biomass plant in Italy. The company's got a legacy uranium project in Kyrgyzstan, and interestingly, the ban on uranium prospecting in Kyrgyzstan has been lifted by the government, and that's now in writing. So there is an opportunity for the company to consider a sale of that asset. There's the asset has a net present value of $250 million. So what the sale proceeds will be, whether it's a farming arrangement or whatever, we don't know yet. But there will be news on that forthcoming very soon. The company is a passive investor, also holds a 3% stake in Lake Victoria Gold, which is a TSXV listed company. It has an asset in the US, in Arizona, the Gold Ridge project. The company commissioned a report from SRK a few years ago, and the company is seeking earning partners following that report. Then, of course, we'll remember the debacle with MetalNRG, and there are still some legal ramifications coming out of that arrangement, and of course, there are no guarantees of that there'll be any further repayments coming from that area. But that, of course, has cost the company a considerable amount of money over the years. And that's really a summary of the assets. But I think going forward, we're looking forward to hearing from Christopher Chadwick and the team as they progress the Omidrani mine, and we'll be getting, of course, updates on production and how they intend to develop and scale the mine up. But a great opportunity and still very good valued as it is, a producing mine, 100% ownership of that, just under 7 million sterling.
Yes, indeed, like you say, turning over of the new leaf. It's the new project there. Yeah, well, it's worth a look, I think, isn't it? The legacy, as you touched on there, I think they are well and truly legacy now. I think the company is definitely moving on from a lot of those areas now and starting afresh, effectively. And Christopher Chadwick, really starting that journey of changing things around. So it's one to keep an eye on for sure with MetalNRG. It's good to finally see them getting through all of those issues that they've had in the past, and hopefully they can go on and build something much better than what they had before. But let's move on and finish off, Alan, with Guardian Metal Resources, GMET.
Guardian Metal Resources. I still occasionally refer to them as Golden Metal as well. It's it's force of habit, but yeah, I mean, what a company, what a year, what a couple of years, in fact. Oliver Friesen and the team have delivered incredible progress with this company. Of course, most people listening will know the assets that the company owns, but I'll just take a quick summary of those. Of course, the flagship asset is the Pilot Mountain project. Which currently has a JORC resource estimate of 12.53 million tons of tungsten. But as we'll see shortly, with the developments and the drilling work that's taken place around there, that is most definitely set to increase. Now, the company's assets are based in Nevada, in the Walker Lane Gold Belt, and they're all grouped very close together, which of course logistically means that it's a very efficient company to invest into in terms of its operating processes, because everything's close together. There's the Garfield project, which is a copper silver project consisting of a number of load claims, and drilling at the end of last year revealed results, both copper and gold grades, well ahead of expectations, and certainly the area that the area that the assets were located in has been expanded by the company. There are also three other projects: the Kibby Basin lithium project, which is located less than 250 meters from a drill hole, which returned a significant interval of lithium brine mineralization, less than 5 kilometers from Pilot Mountain. Then the company owns the Golconda Summit project, which is held under an earn-in right to acquire up to 100% from the owner. And that's at the confluence of the Getchell and Battle Mountain assets, and consists of some 40 to 50 load claims across the whole of the asset. And then finally, the Stonewall project, which is an exploration stage gold and silver property, prospective for epithermal gold and silver mineralization on the northern flank of Stonewall Mountain, not far from the Nellis Air Force Range restricted access area in Nye County. So yeah, I'm sure the guys won't be sucking you over the line there. But it's been a really stellar year, I think, for Oliver and the team. They've the company have added to the board, of course. In July, they appointed Michael Jones as strategic advisor. Jeff Snyder came in as ops manager. Jeff has 40 years experience as mining engineer, based in Nevada, working for Centerra Mining and McEwen Mining, and of course Newmont. They engaged a porphyry expert, Dr. Lawrence Carter, in July, and of course this is hugely significant given the drill results and the porphyry style of mineralization the company are locating across Pilot Mountain. And then of course things started to step up in September. The first diamond drill hole, the Desert Scheelite project, intersected three distinct strongly mineralized zones containing tungsten, silver, zinc, and copper intervals. The lowest interval that was intersected is still open at depth. So, of course, if they drill lower still, who knows where that'll go, but that's really exciting. Then, of course, beginning of this month, beginning of October, of course, we're now in November, the company announced that the results were revealing outstanding mineralization, outstanding tungsten mineralization, in fact. The Desert Scheelite is expected to deliver a material upgrade to the existing mineral resource estimate, which of course is fantastic. But also noting other mineralization too. Of course, garnet was identified on Pilot Mountain earlier near Garnet's an industrial mineral which has a multitude of uses. But they also located a molybdenum-rich mineralized porphyry system, which is also, of course, rich in tungsten. And Oliver and the team stated at that point that the balance, or the remaining Desert Scheelite drill holes that were still that they're still awaiting results for, have hugely increased confidence for an upgrade in the mineral resource estimate for Pilot Mountain. Then, of course, we heard a few days ago the company had entered into a letter of intent with Hincamite Resources to acquire an option to wholly acquire the Tempite tungsten mine and mill in southern Nevada. Now, this is located about 240 kilometers north of Las Vegas. It's about 290 kilometers from Pilot Mountain. So, by road, that's a couple of hours. But it's this mine and works have a great history. So it's a mine and it's a mill. So it's a processing mill too. It was formerly known as the Emerson Mine, prospective for tungsten, silver, and zinc. And it was operated by United Carbide, of course, the battery giant, between 1977 and 1987. There are 10 patented claims, including a historic tailings stack, which is less than 1.5 kilometers from the actual works in the mill. There is an old mineral resource estimate, which is at 8 million tons at 0.43% tungsten. Of course, that's an old estimate, so can't be wholly relied on, but it's certainly indicative as to the sort of potential that will be in the ground there. And the terms of the deposit are they paid a $5,000 deposit. They've got 90 days to undertake a due diligence on the project and the prospect, although, I think Oliver's pretty satisfied by what they've seen. A lot of the due diligence has effectively been done already. And then they will be making a payment of $50,000 and 150,000 shares in Guardian Metal Resources. And then the terms, once they retain control and own the option or own the mine, then they will continue to pay $25,000 to the vendor every 6 months, which is fair enough, because if it becomes less effective, then of course they can cease production or cease use of the asset without any further penalty. But of course, strategically, this can have implications if they start producing from Pilot Mountain. There's a mill already in existence. The ore can be transported down to the mill process there. So there are all sorts of options open to them. But equally, given the way Pilot Mountain has developed, then it's very possible that then the Tempite mine and mill, or the former Emerson mine, could given that new mining techniques and data processing will be applied to it, this could well become a huge tungsten asset in its own right within the company. Either way, it's a great growth strategy for Oliver and the team. Particularly given that in July this year, the U.S. Senate Committee published a report regarding the National Defense Authorization Act for 2025, and it was stated that Guardian Metals Pilot Mountain can play a significant part in the tungsten supply chain for the USA. So the USA is going very protectionist, of course. We're seeing China's gradually getting locked out of the world system. Of course, Russia supplies are being locked out of the world mineral supply system. So good mineral supply in the US is going to be critical, and every opportunity to fast track and bring these assets into production will be given to companies like Guardian Metal. So the company's had as I say, a stellar year. Got a valuation of just under 30 million sterling at the moment. But I think once we get the confirmed results back from Desert Scheelite and there's a mineral upgrade or mineral resource upgrade for Pilot Mountain, it should be worth many, many times that.
Well, thank you very much as always, Alan. So that's a good few companies that we've covered there. And again, yes, I think Oliver's very happy with securing that extra project there. I think the plans of how it might indeed be utilised further or exploited, let's say, or developed, still to be decided. They're still very much in that DD period. I know some investors had some questions around why. And Oliver really explained it's effectively a call option. They want to corner the market on tungsten, and this sort of takes them a bit further down that route, really, now that a lot of other players are sort of looking to acquire tungsten land. Oliver decided to snap it up before it wasn't available anymore. So we'll see how they get through that DD period, and then indeed if they do decide to develop it further. But clearly Guardian Metal Resources is really going for the tungsten play at the moment, and given, as you've explained, the macro environment there, it seems like a pretty good bet. And the first one off the rank is of course Pilot Mountain, expanding on that current resource and seeing what interest it gets. But
it is,
good developments, aren't they, really, for Oliver over there and the team?
Well, they are, but of course, behind the scenes, the focus, rightly so, is on Pilot Mountain. But you've got the copper mineralization, the zinc and the silver. So the asset's very much polymetallic. You've got the molybdenum, the garnet, and that's just Pilot Mountain, and that's before you get to Gold Condor, which is also a massive asset in its own right. So there are all these other assets within the group, and they're all in close proximity to Pilot Mountain. So logistically, it's very efficient to work those other projects too, because you're just driving down the road in relative terms to that asset. It's not like you're having to fly to the other side of the world. So as an investment proposition and a package, there are so many other ways that Guardian can leverage up on these assets without having to spend a great deal of money or travel too far to do it. It's arguably, you could do some work at Pilot Mountain in the morning, then drive over to Gold Condor in the afternoon. It's that sort of proximity.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much as always, Alan. So do have a pleasant weekend, and we'll catch up again in a week's time.
Thanks, Mark. You too.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.